every year around early spring, and typically before the winter weather clears up, I try to go through all of my skate gear and prep it for the Northeast skate season. And while it does look a little different every year, the first thing that I always do is clean up my bearings. I don't go through bearings like crazy. I skate pretty low impact for the most part, so I don't think I've ever broken a pair of bearings. They mostly just get caked with dirt. And while I could just grab a fresh set of bearings every year, I don't mind cleaning them out and making them last a couple extra years. I usually just take a little time on a cool spring day to get those bearings going from crunching back to spinning. This year I used the Sonic Citrus skate bearing cleaner again and picked up a new Bronson bearing cleaner kit because I didn't really like the Sonic Turbo washer that I used last year. Some skaters like to use a high percentage of isopropyl alcohol solution, so something that's like 97 or 99% alcohol. The one thing you don't want to do is just put water in your bearings. I have heard of some people cleaning their bearings out with water or with dish soap, but I wouldn't risk it because water just typically leads to rusting. But if you don't want to deal with it, you can always just buy a fresh pair. After some good shaking, I've typically got a set of pretty clean, pretty quick bearings. So I let them sit out overnight to dry nice and well, and then put a little bit of bone speed cream in them the next day. They might not roll like brand new, but they do come pretty close. Ironically, I did buy 2 new sets of bearings over winter, the Bronson G3s and these 6-ball Raws. I'm looking for a faster bearing in general, so I did want to give Bronson a shot. I don't mind spending extra money for a higher performing bearing, as I also don't mind washing my bearings out over the next couple years and making them worth the investment. The second thing that I always do is fix my squeaky trucks. In my experience, the culprit behind my squeaky trucks is almost always this little indent here, the pivot cup. To access it, you just have to remove the hanger off of your base plate, and then you can put a lubricant of choice in here. Just something to stop the metal of your hanger rubbing against and squeaking inside the pivot cup. A lot of skaters have a different preference for what they use. I just use Bone Speed Cream because I have it on hand and I've been using it for years now. I will say that the downside to using a liquid lubricant is that some of the lubricant can spill back out, especially if you put too much in. When I first started skating, I actually just used to use some wax shavings. I would just kind of like scrape it off with a knife and put that in the pivot cup, and that worked pretty well too. But it didn't last quite as long in my experience, so I started using just little drops of Bones Speed Cream since I have it, and I've had the same bottle for 6 years. That stuff has not been used up. It's lasted a really long time. If the squeak doesn't go away after that, you can also try rubbing some wax on the metal areas where the bushings touch, and that should really solve most squeaky truck problems. And those are the 2 things that I do every year, and the rest just kind of depends on what gear I have. If I have a board that I'm still skating but has seen better days, I might re-grip it. If I'm skating an old pair of shoes, I might want to put on a new pair of laces, use some shoe glue or some suede patches to doctor them up. If I have some fresh shoes, I might want to try prepping them by wearing them around to break them in or super gluing the laces in high wear areas. This year, I also want to skate obstacles a lot more. So I pulled out a bunch of stuff that I've made in the past, dusted off the cobwebs, wiped away the dirt, actually removed the rust from this obstacle, which worked a lot better than I thought it would. I just used some white vinegar to kind of break down a lot of the rust, wiped that off, did that a second time with the white vinegar, wiped it off again, and then used some sandpaper to kind of get the rest of the rust off. And now it's ready to go. I have a bunch of obstacles ready to just throw in the back of my car and take to an empty parking lot. I imagine that I'm not alone in this, but I just love spring, and I kind of love spring cleaning too. It's really fun to like go through my old gear and kind of freshen it up, but then also set up the new little pieces of gear that I've acquired over winter and have been waiting to skate. And there's something about, I don't know, being excited for what I'll be able to try out this spring and summer. I actually picked up quite a few new things this winter that I'm really excited to share and chat about and test out this summer. I'm also just really excited to skate. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're doing well.